Welcome to Bronze and Modern Gods. I'm John, and there's Richard. How's it going, Richard?
I'm doing excellent. How you doing?
I'm doing okay. We've got some fun stuff, on a post-Labor Day week. I don't know. Is that a thing, post-Labor Day? I guess summer's over, right? It's
Right.
all over.
Oh, yeah. It's been over for weeks, to be honest with you.
Well, we had 100-degree weather in Southern California this weekend, so I think summer's just beginning for us. But hey, what are you going to do about it? Hey, well, thanks for joining us. If you're not following us on Facebook and Instagram, why don't you do that? It's at Bronze and Modern Gods on both those platforms. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a like, give us a subscribe. I won't say slap that like button. I won't say mash that subscribe button because I respect your intelligence more than that. I would just gently suggest that perhaps you might want to show some support by depressing one of two said buttons. Thank you. And you can also leave us a review.
Because that's so much better.
Thank you. We're like the PBS of comic book podcasts.
Oh, wow. What a goal to aspire to. Okay.
Thank you. Wait till we have next week. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform and give us a little rating there, and we will love you for it, especially Richard, because that's his jam right there. And today we're going to be talking about alternatives to eBay for buying comics. We hear all the eBay horror stories, overgrading, scams, the fees. That's why they call it Feebay. We're going to give you some alternatives to buying comics besides eBay. So we'll be talking about that today. But first, our nerd shirts of the week. Richard, are you wearing a nerd shirt this week?
Yeah, I'm wearing a repeat shirt. This is my Time Lord shirt. What do we want? Time travel. When do we want it? Irrelevant.
A repeat. I guess, it still is summer repeats. I did get a new shirt just for the occasion. I love this. It is my Invaders shirt. See a little
that is nice. I like that.
The Jack Kirby cover from Invaders #8, the introduction of Union Jack, which is awesome. I love this shirt. I love the cover, and now I get to wear it everywhere and have everybody point at me and go, "What's that?" Let's get right into it. Hot book of the week. Richard, this is a favorite of yours. Take it away.
This week, we had an announcement from Sony that one of their upcoming movies is going to feature a female spider character, specifically Silk. Silk is a Korean-American woman she was bitten by the same spider as Peter Parker and has spider powers. They're not exactly the same as Peter, but they're very similar. This book is her first solo series, and it takes place right after the Spider-Verse story arc. So she's learning how to use her powers in her new role, which is defending New York City. And it's a good read. I have to say it's a good book.
We're talking about Silk #1 from 2015.
You're right. So we're talking about Silk #1 from 2015. She's had a number of series. This series ran about 7 books. There are a number of covers that are important in this series. The A cover has a GPA of the last 90 days of 96, but because of this announcement for the movie, the last sale for that book was $175 at 9.8. There are 2 other covers that are important. There is a Comics Pro cover. It's an interesting cover material. It's kind of like a paper bag kind of material. We've seen Marvel use this before. It's kind of a corrugated, not corrugated, but it's a paper cover as opposed to the coated covers they typically use.
Like a grocery bag.
Yeah, just like I hate to say that because this book has
the Kroger's variant.
GPA of 426. So it's an expensive grocery bag. But it's a great book. You see in the corner, it says Comics Pro down here in the corner. There's another book, which is the 1 in 25 variant by Stacy Lee.
Okay. That's
this book. She is hanging upside down. And it is a gorgeous cover. I love this cover. I bought this book 2 years ago and really, really impressed with the looks of it. It has a GPA of 319 for a 90-day average. Its last sale was 425. So we're seeing a push because of the announcement, just like we see every time we get some kind of hard news out of Sony or Marvel. We're seeing upward pressure bringing the price of the book up. And if you go on eBay right now, anything that's Silk related is really, really getting a boost because of the announcement.
So you've got a couple of announcements. You've got the Olivia Wilde is going to do a Spider Woman, Spider Girl type movie. Then you've got the straight up Silk announcement that it's coming to Hulu or Disney Plus. So these two different things, we'll see which one actually comes to fruition first, but it's really driving this book. I mean, you and I were talking a couple months ago. I got a copy for $15 from an LCS, and boy, am I glad I got it now for $15 because, yeah, 175. No, thanks. I'm good.
All these first appearances from this class of Marvel and Sony characters, if you don't have a first appearance, now is the time to get them because they are going through the roof. Amadeus Cho with Amazing Fantasy 15 is already a $300 book. We've got Spider-Man #4, which is Silk's first appearance. That's already a $300 book. Of course, you know about Ultimate Fallout 4 for Miles Morales and Edge of the Spider-Verse 2 for Spider-Gwen. These books are just constantly going up. I don't see there being a major reduction in the cost or the value of these books over time. So if you got the means, buy those first appearances now before they get to the Ultimate Fallout 4 level of expense.
We've said it before, but if you don't have a Totally Awesome Hulk #1 or New Agents of Atlas #1, you better get on it. I don't know how many weeks we have to mention those books, but here's another week we're going to mention them.
Yeah. Buy these books while they're still under the radar and the price hasn't. And you'll know when it's become a hot book because you'll see listings on eBay for books for $15 and right next to them books for $45, $60. That's because we've hit a peak. We've hit some kind of rise. Those $15 books are left over, will be snapped up quickly, and then that $60 book will be the new normal. And that's just how this seems to go. We keep setting new normals for these prices.
Speaking of eBay, that's our main topic this week. Thanks for teeing me up like that. I appreciate it. Buying comics without having to resort to eBay. Now, Richard and I both got a promo code from eBay in the last week, giving us $25 off, thanking us for being on eBay for 20 years.
Yes, 1999. I joined eBay in 1999.
Me too, and it's so funny. We both texted each other like, "Hey, I got this $25 off promo code," and then we were comparing notes like, "What was the first thing you bought off eBay? What was the first thing you sold?" Because it gives you this little list of your activity. And eBay, when it first came on for comic books, it was a godsend. It changed everything. You used to, back in my day, kids, you had to get in the car and go to a funny book store or a comic book show and hope that someone brought the books that you wanted. Now they were all at your fingertips and you could just type it in the search bar and someone would have that particular issue you wanted and then in the condition you wanted. Now it's really, as a seller, it's out of control. The fees are just exorbitant now. I understand it's a business, but my word, we're looking at up to 20% of the total take now when you put in eBay fees and PayPal fees and all the other stuff, sales tax when you're now buying off eBay. So lots of people are looking for alternatives. And we've talked about a few of these on previous podcasts, particularly Instagram and Instagram live sales. What are some of your favorite non-eBay alternatives, Richard? I've got a couple, but I want to let you go first. I'm curious.
The places I've had the most success selling, most recently Shortbox, which is an iPhone app, shortbox.com. They're good friends of mine. I interact with them continuously, but just looking at them as a platform, they are a place where you can list your slabbed books and reach a very targeted audience of potential buyers. These are people who are looking for comic books because if you go to eBay, you come across people who are shopping for lawn furniture, whatever the hell they're shopping for. But the market and the audience for Shortbox is specifically comic books. And you set the price as a seller for what you want to sell it for. The buyer can then purchase it, or they can make a counter offer. And their fees are a flat 10%. You don't pay any more, including shipping. They cover shipping. So you'll get, as a seller, they'll send you a shipping label to slap on the box. Everything I ship and is USPS priority mail in a medium box. Slap the sticker on the outside of it. The buyer gets it. Transaction's completed, and you get your money.
So they don't drop ship for you. You keep your book and then you ship it yourself.
Correct.
Oh, that's
Correct.
interesting.
Yeah, they confirm once the sell is made, they confirm that you still have the book available.
Mhm.
And once you've confirmed the book is available, then the actual transaction, the money transaction happens. So they get the money in hand. So they hold the money. You ship the book, and once the buyer has received the book, they will release the money to you. And if, like I said, flat 10%, which is half of what eBay charges, really straight upfront, guys. It's worked every single time that I've done it. I've sold the books that I've listed within 2 days of listing them there. So it's a good alternative to eBay.
Now, you also have some great stories about Facebook Marketplace. Without giving away your sources, tell us about how you've snagged some real good deals using the Facebook Marketplace.
It's not as good as it used to be. I've come across different people selling on Facebook Marketplace. You put in comic books on the Facebook Marketplace tab, and I always sort by nearest to me. So you get the people who are close to you. And I found 2 years ago, I found a listing for a gentleman who was selling Eternals number 1 through 4 as a set, and he was selling it for $100, which at the time is incredible price. So I went out and met with this gentleman, really great guy, Gary, if you're watching. He not only had that one set of Eternals number 1 through 4, he had 6 other sets of Eternals 1 through 4, plus duplicates of other books in the Eternal series. I ended up buying a full run, including the annual of Eternals from him, as well as he had other books like Nova number 1 and Ms. Marvel number 1. And just it was a laundry list of books that he had. And I made this connection through Facebook Marketplace. And this connection was more than the original set of books, but expanded to all these other opportunities. And I've come across other people there also who you strike up a conversation, and you find out that they are comic book people too, and they have things that they want to move. And if you're open to buying them and you can negotiate a good price, it's amazing the opportunities that could come up from that.
Tell us the story about the shady guy with the books in the trash bag.
God, yes. There was a listing on a Facebook Marketplace for a X-Men run, and he was not specific about which ones. So I reached out and contacted him, and I asked him, what X-Men do you have? And he responded, all of them, which immediately intrigued me. So especially for the price he was asking for. So I arranged to meet him. One of the cardinal rules of meeting people face to face is do it in a public venue.
Starbucks.
Never meet them at their house. Never meet them in some place where there aren't other people to witness what's going on.
So you shouldn't meet them at a truck rest stop, is what you're saying.
Probably not.
Okay.
In the woods. No, I met him at a McDonald's. It was in Akron, which is close to where I live. I drove down there, met him, and he brings into McDonald's a garbage bag full of comic books. There was not a long box, not a short box, a garbage bag. And inside that garbage bag were X-Men number 94 through about 200, about 220, I believe is where it capped out. So it was the sweet spot of the X-Men run. The early X-Men, 94 obviously being the first appearance of the new team.
What was it? Your giant size?
No giant size, unfortunately. Then the books were not in necessarily great shape. Obviously, is being carried around in a garbage bag, but they were complete. And I would put them mid-grade, some of them low grade, but none of them below a 4. And I immediately acquired this entire X-Men set. Well, he also had a garbage bag full of Avengers, and I got Avengers numbers like 78 through 300. I had this huge. I have pictures. If I can find the pictures, I'll post them so that people could see them. But I ended up seeing this gentleman 3 times and collecting through McDonald's this range of collections of X-Men, Avengers. There were some Captain Marvels in the set. just a variety of just Bronze Age, just wonderful books, Bronze Age, Copper Age books. And again, this is one of those things where the opportunity was there, reached out to the gentleman. We struck up a rapport. He saw that I had money and he had a need to sell books, and we worked out a deal. And I walked off with a very, very good collection of books for a very reasonable amount of money.
And it is recognized by the CGC as the Hefty Collection. It's the Hefty.
I wish, please let me do that. That would be amazing.
So Facebook Marketplace, it's like Richard says, it ain't what it used to be. Everybody's discovered it now. So kind of the bloom is off the rose a little bit there. There are Facebook Live sales, very much like the Instagram Live sales, but people are doing it on Facebook. People are doing it on YouTube. There's a few people that follow this podcast that are our friends, and then we see them doing YouTube Live sales. So hi, how are you guys? And one of the ones that is getting a lot of commercial attention because they run a lot of spots now. They kind of came out hard with running commercials during the pandemic, and that is Mercari. You see these commercials for Mercari all the time. At least I do. Maybe they're just targeting me. They know where I live. But Mercari, it's got a little shadiness to it. I got to be honest. When I go on Mercari, I see these things like Amazing Fantasy 15. I have it. It's at my house. And of course, it's like the 30th reprint from last year. And it looks like they mopped the floor with it and they went $14,000 for it because somebody told them it was the original. So I do know some people that we follow on Instagram swear by Mercari. I haven't done a lot of Mercari. Have you?
I've done some. I have a sweep that I run when I'm looking for a rare book. I went through a variety of different sellers, and Mercari is in that list. And sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you find somebody who's not up to date on the value of these books, because on Monday, that third print that is sitting in their listing is worth $10, and on Tuesday, that third print is now worth $125. If you don't keep up with it, it's easy to be caught napping like that, and to my advantage.
All right. Now I'm going to tell you one of my secrets, and I'm going to regret doing this on this podcast the minute I do it, but I like you guys. So listen up, take notes, get your paper out. Check for live auctions in your area from your local auctioneers. Look for estate sales. Estatesales.net is a great place to look. Liveauctioneers.com is a great place to look. Go through these, set alerts for yourself, set a comic book alert. But the phrase comic book, set an alert for old vintage comic books, anything you can think of. I've gotten some serious scores from both estatesales.net and liveauctioneers.com. Estatesales.net, and Terry O'Neill from Terry's Comics, if you're out there, hi. Sorry about this. I'm sure you still hate me for this. The Nicolas Cage collection went up for sale on estatesales.net. Now, this is when he was getting divorced from Lisa Marie Presley. So dude needed some money because he was losing half to Elvis's daughter. So
like she needed it.
I know, right? So he put his entire Silver Age Marvel collection and beyond, there was some Golden Age in there too, up on estatesales.net. Again, the luxury of living in Southern California was I got to go to the actual estate sale when they were having it in this big warehouse. So I got to go walk around and look at the different lots in person, compare. And there was so much that I said to myself, okay, here's my dollar limit. I got to pick one or two lots that I'm really going to go for. And then I'm just going to leave the rest to everybody else. There was a lot of 17 pre-hero Journey into Mystery, Strange Tales, those pre-hero Marvels, Kirby and Lee, Ditko, awesome stuff. 7.0 or better. Those books are impossible in that grade. There was one lot of 17 of them, and there was a lot of 15. And those were the two lots I was going to go for. Terry O'Neill decided he was going to go for those lots as well. He won so many, and he's a dealer. He's a full-time dealer. I get it. That's his gig. He's got this little snot-nosed guy over here that just wants stuff to collect, driving the price up. And so I get it. But I actually won those two lots, and I had those books, sent them off for slabbing. The lowest came back as a 7.5. They were all 7.5s or 8.0. Some were a couple of 9s. I then sold them for multiples of what I paid for those lots. And it's a happy ending because I had that alert set. There is one thing about that lot, those 2 lots that I won, that I do regret, besides selling them, of course. And that is they all came in fortresses. I don't know if you know.
Oh, yeah. And me guess, you threw them away.
I threw away
Oh.
about 30 comic fortresses, having no idea. I was like, what are these? These are, well, I threw them in the dumpster. And then years later, I'm looking online, and people are selling these comic fortresses for hundreds of dollars. I'm like, wow, you live and you learn, Richard. Life is like that.
You got to look forward. You got to look forward.
Liveauctioneers.com. Just this past weekend, there was a huge auction. It looked like a store went out of business in Illinois. I went in there. I won several of those auctions. One of the most hotly desirable ones that I wanted is I was looking. It was a lot of 150 modern comics is how it was listed. And it was about 150 modern Marvel, DC, IDW from the mid 2000s. Here's a little trick I'm going to teach y'all. Zoom in on the pictures because they had them stacked up and they had them fanned out. So you really couldn't see what all the titles were. But on the top of one of the fanned out rows was Adam, The Legend of the Blue Marvel, #3, multiple copies. So I zoom in and I look behind it. There's multiple copies of #2. There was multiple copies of #1.
I know. You sent me that picture and I was drooling.
It sells in 9.8 for $1,500 easy. The minimum bid on this lot was $30. So I went in, put in a $150 stalking bid just to make sure I didn't forget about it. Saturday morning, I'm there. I'm winning lots left and right. I'm like, I'm going to get this blue Marvel lot. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And I go in, and my $120 bid pops up as the high bid immediately. It's live. You can see people bidding, and it goes to, $250, $300. And all of a sudden, somebody just goes in and puts in a $1,200 bid. I'm like, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
But
they got sharp eyes too.
You're not alone. So you got to remember that too. These people are competing. $1,200 investment. If he gets $3,000 for those 2 books alone, maybe he's making out. But while they appeared to be 9.8 candidates, it's a tiny postage stamp sized picture. You're taking a big risk for $1,200 there. I was not ready to go above what I was originally. I thought I was going to do 700 max. I was going to be aggressive. That's not aggressive, apparently.
No, but you're right. All you could prove from that picture is that the book was there. You can't see the other corners. It could be a corner crunch. There could be a split someplace. From just that, I wouldn't have gambled more than 700 either. But it was an intriguing opportunity.
Very much so. And plus, I won a bunch of other stuff that when it comes in, we'll talk about it and do a little unboxing on the podcast, because one of the things I did win, can't wait to see what the shipping is, I won a long box of 350, quote, various Marvel comics from the years 2002 to 2005.
There were spawns in there, right? It was a spawn box.
There were spawns, but it's mostly Marvels from that period. Now, what happened in that period? What potential books are in there? So there are my 2 little secrets. Did you have any more? I know you love MidtownComics.com.
I do. Midtown is a distributor as well as a comic book online store. They have an incredible back stock in terms of books. Whenever I'm looking for a book that is in the last 5 years, one of the places in my cycle that I go through, I have a whole set of different sites that I go through, because they also sometimes carry some of this, new old stock is what it's called. Mm-hmm. Midtown sometimes will have these books sitting around. And remember, when they sold brand new, they might not have been as popular as they are now. So they may have bought 1,000 of them and they sold 900 of them, and the rest of them sit in inventory. So I have gone back and found things like the Star Wars Republic special that we talked about last week. Mm-hmm. That was still there in inventory for list price. So I bought 8 copies of it. And it comes nice. They're all brand new. They come in brand new bags with a little near mint sticker on them from Midtown, carefully bundled up. Can't beat it. So you can always go in there, type what you're looking for. Sometimes they'll have it, sometimes they won't have it. Another good thing that you can do is they group books by the particular issue. So if there are 7 different variants and you don't know what all the 7 variants are, when you find the one, grouped with them will be the other 6. So you can click on them and see what the other variants are, and potentially they may have one of those variants in stock, like Champions. They have a number of the different variants as well as the number one still in stock. Or the A cover. I bought a bunch of A covers from them as well because they're cover price, and it's, to me, it's, these books have not gone through the hands of individuals yet. They have gone to Midtown from the distributor. They're the distributor, and they've sat there in their boxes since they were released. So that no human hands have touched these books. So if you're going to find 9.8 candidates from a dealer, this new old stock, these books that have been sitting there are great possibilities. I looked at all of these Star Wars specials that I got, and every single one of them are 9.8 candidates, in my opinion.
That's awesome. And it brings me to a point that you reminded me of this by talking about finding that little stash of Star Wars books. It's obvious, but I feel like I have to say it. An alternative to eBay is your local comic shop. Yeah. And you get to know them so that when they know what you like, they know what you collect. Mine knows that John is a Captain America guy, an Avengers guy, anything early Silver Age Cap or Avengers or early Hercules appearances. Guess what they do when they get into the store? They call me immediately. They don't even put it out. They say, hey, I got a Journey into Mystery Annual #1. You interested? Sure, I'll go look at it. The other thing you can do, and this ties in with your Star Wars story from Midtown, is ask them if they can check with Diamond to see if stuff is still in stock. Because that's what I did with my local comic shop. I just said, hey, by the way, can you check and see if they have any of the Thor #2 4th printing left at the Diamond warehouse? Yeah, they sure did. I said, I'll take as many as you can get. And so you'll be surprised what's still sitting there at Diamond. If you have access to the Diamond Previews online account through your store, definitely use that. Look at the FOC, final order cutoff date stuff. You'll find all sorts of little gems there that just somehow don't make it to your local store unless you ask for it.
You're absolutely right. Your LCS should be your first target, because you want to build that rapport with that dealer, and opportunities that don't come up to other people may start showing up for you. For example, when these stores get these 1 per store variants, they only have 1 to give out, right? So they're going to give it to the person they feel is more, I'd say most deserving may not be best, but their best customer. But those opportunities, those one per store variants, or even getting access to the 1 in 100 ratio variants, build up the relationship with your LCS, because they may offer it to you before they put it out to the general public. And you build that relationship, it always pays off.
So there, you've given you plenty of alternatives to eBay, so you can kind of save your money and save your sanity. Not saying eBay is just completely verboten in my world. I still use it for a lot of stuff, but there are alternatives. So you might want to explore them, because you may win. Especially
if you have a high price book. If you're selling a Amazing Spider-Man 309.8 for $3,000, let's say, you're going to pay a fortune in fees and in taxes. While if you go through one of these other alternatives, you can avoid a majority of that expense. So definitely keep that in mind.
For sure. So now it's time for our regular segment called The 25-Year Rule. That never gets old. At least
no, it doesn't. It does not.
So this week we go back, we take the time machine, we take the TARDIS that's on Richard's shirt, and we head back to the year 1995. Nirvana's over. Kurt Cobain has left us. Soundgarden is still chugging along. What the heck is a Foo Fighter? Do we know yet? We're finding out. We're also seeing the end of an era for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as the Archie comic series based on the cartoon Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventure Adventures hits its end. Issue 72 came out 25 years ago. That was the last issue of the Archie Comics TMNT Adventures run. That was a pretty good run. It ran over 6 years. It was hugely popular. The issue 1 is kind of blowing up right now. You see people buying that and getting that slabbed and flipping it. But by the end of the run, the print run just wasn't there. I did look on Comic Run. I looked really hard. I could not find a final print run for issue 72. If you guys can find it, please leave it in the comments. But just basing it on Archie sales and just the complete depressed state of the industry in 1995, it was the bottom of the crash in 1995. There can't be more than 30 or 40,000 copies of this book printed and distributed, combined with the newsstand version. And the census kind of confirms this hypothesis of mine. There are only 10 9.8s of this book in the CGC census. For a Turtles book like this, that is pretty low. And I went and took a look on eBay, strangely enough, and the lowest raw copy that's currently up on eBay, it's only a very fine condition according to the seller, and they're asking $110. There are a couple of sharper copies, but there are 150, 145. There is one that swears it's mint, and they're near mint. They're charging $250 for it raw. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures number 72, the last issue, may be something that you might want to put on your radar. So that is the 25-year rule for this week.
Yep, last issues are something to keep an eye out. First issues are important, but the end of the series, like Transformers number 80, is a valuable book because it's the end of the series. So keep
Star Wars 107, G.I. Joe 155. The thing about the Transformers and the G.I. Joe 155, same era, that mid-90s kind of things are, heading south for the industry, and those licensed books take about a big chunk of that profit. So they're the first to go because they're just, why would Marvel want to pay a license fee or Archie want to pay a license fee when they can just replace it with something that they own? And another Betty and Veronica book where they're in swimsuits every issue. That's going to sell as much, right?
Oh, yeah. that's one of my specialties. This really, Betty and Veronica book. So
you perv. Let's move on to the underrated book of the week. Why don't you start with yours?
Okay. Kind of continuing along with the Silk in terms of that generation of characters. The Edge of Spider-Verse number 2 is the first appearance of Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen. What's the second appearance of Gwen Stacy as Spider-Gwen? Well, that is Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, number 9 from 2014. This book is completely under the radar. It's a great book for a number of different reasons. Not only is it...
I've never heard of this, so yeah, I'm fascinated. Go on, sorry.
Not only is it the second appearance of Spider-Gwen, it's the first time that Spider-Gwen, Silk, and Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew, are all that meet. It's the first cameo appearance of Spider-Man, which is a Japanese version of Spider-Man, which if you ever get an opportunity, go to YouTube, watch that, watch Leopardon. Awesome. Any Ready Player One fans will recognize the name. There's also a variety of different cameos for other Spider characters, such as, versions of Iron Fist, the Hulk, Human Torch, Wolverine, Venom, the 1969 version of Spider-Man, just a variety of different characters. It is a ride. I just recently reread it, and it is a wild ride of all the different Spider-Verses. It's a really good book, but for the most important part of it is the second appearance of Spider-Gwen. So now that the first appearance of her is at least $1,000 book in 9.8. If you are looking to collect and try to come in on the ground floor of something, these books are going for about anywhere from $30 to $40 on eBay right now. There is the regular cover, which I don't really care for, but then there's a variant cover that has Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen and Spider-Woman and Silk all on the cover. this is amazing. They have all these characters, especially Spider-Gwen's second appearance, for a book that's $40. So you can buy this, and as the value of their first appearance goes up, hopefully the values of her second appearance will go up. And again, more people are going to be funneled towards that second appearance because they don't want to spend $1,000 on a funny book.
I think we should remind people Wolverine's third appearance sells for thousands and thousands of dollars. It's Giant Size X-Men #1.
yeah, you can't beat that.
I guess that's a little bit of an outlier when it comes to
But keep a lookout for this. There's up on eBay. There are the variant cover I'm talking about. There's also a sketch version of it, which is the exact same cover but just in black and white. And it's affordable in my opinion, and has potential to continue to increase in value.
Is there a Kroger grocery store variant?
No Kroger grocery store variant for this. They didn't go that far.
Bummer. All right. Well, that's a good one. You schooled me on that one. Mine is a little more obvious, but hey, it's definitely underrated still, I think. That is from the Silver Age, Marvel Superheroes #17, the first solo Black Knight, Dane Whitman Black Knight. Now, Atlas, Marvel in the 50s was called Atlas Comics. They had a Black Knight series that ran for 5 issues. Beautiful Joe
Yes.
art. I used to have a full run of that and the Yellow Claw. And, I think about all the things I sold Richard,
but you can look what you got in return. So
I know I got a house.
Yeah.
So I can't complain. But the first Marvel Age solo Black Knight book is this Marvel Superheroes #17. Interestingly enough, no 9.8s exist for this book, and only 7 9.6s have been graded in that tier. So I can tell you why. Again, this is a book that was basically a glorified reprint title with a new story in the front and bopped around in quarter bins and 50-cent bins and dollar bins for years and years and years, almost like that Guardians of the Galaxy first appearance in Marvel Superheroes. The hard to find high grade copies. Plus, it's got that black cover that is just a bear for folds and ticks and creases and you name it. Why is this book underrated? Well, because the Black Knight is going to be in the new Eternals movie. Everyone's focused on the Eternals, but no one seems to be as focused on the Black Knight. And if they are, they may be going for that Black Knight miniseries that happened in the mid-90s, which is okay, great. But I think this is the key to look out for.
I totally agree with you. This is a great book. The cover is great. Not as good as that first appearance. I love that cover, but it's an amazing book. It's square bound, and it is that black cover is just notorious for spine ticks. So you'll see quite a number of them out there, but you won't see very many high grade ones, and that's because of the difficulty in the condition.
It's kind of like Marvel Superheroes #20.
I love that book. Yes, that's first appearance of our first solo series for Dr. Doom. It also suffers the exact same problem: black cover and spine ticks, and the square bound is also tough because it's hard to press. Any pressure on it over extended period of time will deform it, also making it hard to get that 9.8.
But it is a beauty book. Interesting creative team. It's no one that was really famous for working in the Marvel Universe proper for a long period of time. I believe it was drawn by Howard Purcell, who, was a famous cartoonist, but didn't really do a lot of Marvel work. And then it's just backed up with a bunch of Golden Age reprints, and it's a cool book. But you might still see it in some bins for $4 or $5. If you do, grab as many as you can before it explodes.
Absolutely. The whole MSH series is good in terms of pickup because there's some real gems in there.
Medusa, Spider-Man story that was Ross Andrews' first art on Spider-Man that was meant as a fill-in issue that they just burned off in there. Kazar, I love that. Captain Marvel, first appearance of Captain Marvel was in that Marvel Superheroes series.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Love that stuff. So that's a really fun run if you're chasing something really kind of attainable and cool from the 60s. And that's going to do it for us this week. Richard, thanks a lot for joining me today. Everybody out there, thanks for hanging in there. If you're not following us at Bronze and Modern Gods on Facebook and Instagram, please do so. If you're watching us on YouTube, I will not implore you again to please depress the like and slightly pressure on the subscribe button. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform, and we will see you next time.
Stay safe.